Hello everyone, my name is Chao Mutonga and I am the Research and Inventory Manager at Bookbank Trust. Today's tutorial will teach us how to digitize our personal archives at home, but first some background on where we're coming from. Before the end of 2019, there existed no physical record of all the items that are housed in the 3 McMillan libraries. So in 2019, 23 interns worked to digitize this catalogue and created the first digital catalogue of these 3 libraries. At the end of the process, we catalogued 137,705 items. And then in 2020, the team proceeded to now weed the collection and determine which books in the library were going to stay and which ones were going to be weeded. Later on in 2020, we also proceeded to now begin the digitization of the archive that is housed at the main branch on Banda Street. This is a process that we have been doing for the past 5 months, and we hope to complete this first phase by the end of February and have completed 21,840 items. Today we have Chao Tayiana from African Digital Heritage who's joining us to teach us how to digitize our personal archives at home. As you continue to watch this video, please tag us on our socials on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and even LinkedIn at #BuildYourArchive. Karibu sana, Chao.
Thank you so much, Chao. Hello everyone, my name is Chao Tayiana Maina. You might also know me as Headstrong Historian on my socials. I'm the founder of African Digital Heritage and co-founder at the Museum of British Colonialism. As a historian and a digital specialist, my work focuses on the ways in which technology can help us preserve, document, and share our history and culture. Today, I'll be teaching you how to digitize your personal archives.
So Chao, before we get started, are there any tools or equipment that you need our viewers to gather for this process?
For today's tutorial, you will need a good phone camera. This is anything that can take photos of 10 MB or more that you can use to digitize at home or in your office. You need to be in a well-lit area with natural light, so a space that's not too bright or too dark. You need a flat table or surface for placing your digitized material. You'll need to ensure that this surface has a plain background, so we want to avoid any backgrounds with patterns. You need a simple editing software. This would be for cropping and straightening, and this can be the inbuilt phone editor. And finally, some items to digitize.
Thank you, Chao. As we give our viewers some time to get their equipment together, can you break down for us what archiving and digitization actually mean? Because there might be some of our viewers who may not understand what these two things are.
So what is archiving and why is it important to archive? Archiving is not just something that is useful to professional archivists or people who are working in museums. It's something that could help us preserve the documents in our homes for present and future generations. Generally, we define archiving as a process by which inactive information or data in any format is securely stored for long periods of time. So such information may or may not be used or accessed in the future, but nonetheless, it is stored and preserved in an accessible format. How do we archive in our homes? Now, when we hear the word archive, it might seem big and it might seem intimidating and foreign, and we might just relate it to institutions holding historical records such as the Kenya National Archives. But even within our homes, in our personal lives, we have personal archives. These can be your journals, your photographs, your documents, letters, and any material that is dear to you and your family. What do we archive? We archive photographs, we archive journals, we archive letters, school records such as your report forms and your leaving certificates. We archive cuttings from important publications and anything else that we want to preserve.
And so now that we know what archiving is and why it's important, then what is digitization?
Now, digitization is a process of converting information or items from a physical format into a digital format. By physical formats, we mean things that we can touch, that are tangible like books, objects, or photographs. How do we transfer them into formats that we can share online, on social media, store in the cloud, or even send via, let's say, email?
And now that you've told us about archiving and digitization and what these two things mean, then why should we digitize?
So by digitizing, we are able to create copies of items that can help us preserve this material in the event that the physical copies are damaged. It allows us to make the material more accessible without damaging the actual physical copy over time. So I'd like you to think of an old family photograph, let's say of your grandmother or your great-grandmother, And this is a photograph that many members of the family would like to have in their possession and would like to share with their children and their, their wider circle. So instead of moving the photograph from one location to another, from one home to another, we can digitize it and share it within the family as many times as we'd like to, without having to compromise on the condition of the actual photograph. Additionally, if one person happens to lose their digital copy, say their phone gets stolen or their laptop crashes, because we know that technology can be very temperamental, they can always ask someone else within the family to share it with them, or if they have a digital copy, they simply need to download it and save it onto their new device. So in this way, we see the way digitization encourages the longevity of information in different formats and in different places.
You know, one of the things I remember seeing when I'd see archivists and people who used to digitize online, like they had these massive scanners and massive cameras, and is digitization a skill that anybody can perform?
Absolutely. Digitization, just like archiving, is a skill that we can use within our personal homes and lives. And if you think about it, really, we already digitize in one form or another. When we take photographs, when we, when we interact within the digital space, we already have an understanding of what digitization means.
Yeah. Yeah, and based on the digitization workshops that we did together with you on the project, I remember that you mentioned some important tips that we need to always look out for to ensure that we're getting the best quality photos. So can you please share those with our audience for today?
Definitely. So while it is easy to digitize, you have to look at certain factors to digitize well and to create good quality of data. The first one is lighting and glare. So you don't want to use flash, and you want to make sure you're indoors and you are using natural light. The reason why we're using natural light is because we want the digital photo to resemble the colors and the textures of the original photo as much as possible. Additionally, we want to avoid direct sunshine and harsh lights, especially if we're digitizing really old photographs, because this might damage them. The second thing is the framing, and to make sure you have straight edges. Always make sure that the entire photograph is in frame. This means that you can see it from corner to corner. So you need to make sure you're not cutting out any parts of the photograph while taking the photograph. And you would rather crop out unnecessary parts than risk not capturing the photo in full.
Yeah.
If the item has any folded corners or sections, try straighten them out if this doesn't compromise or ruin the integrity of the item itself. The third thing to do would be to check the background and make sure that the item you're digitizing is on a flat surface. Use a plain or single color background, and this makes it easier to crop out any bits that are not part of the photograph, for example, the table. And you also need to ensure that the item is resting on a flat surface.
Right, right.
The fourth thing is the blur. So we don't want to be moving and so that the photo wouldn't be be blurry. So to avoid having blurry photos, try be as still as possible when taking the photograph. And where possible, use a tripod or place your phone on a firm surface, then use a timer to reduce the blur and the possibility of movement. So the fifth thing is the file size. Now, different devices have different quality settings, but whether you're using a phone or a camera, what we want to do is to ensure that we are capturing the photos in the highest quality setting available for the particular device that you're using. So for example, if you're using a DSLR camera, you can shoot in RAW mode to make sure you capture as many pixels as possible.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for those tips, Chao. And now that we have made sure to get the best possible environment for our photos, can we now go ahead and take some quick photos?
Absolutely. Let's get to the fun part now.
That wasn't too difficult. You're right about everyone being able to do this. So now we've taken our photos, what do we do next?
So now that the hardest part, quote unquote, hardest part of the process is over, we'll do a quick quality check of the photos we've just taken. So once you've taken the photographs, take a few seconds to check that the quality of the photos is good. Now, what are we looking at in terms of quality? We're looking at three things. We're looking at the framing, and we need to ensure that you can see all parts of the photograph from corner to corner when the photo is fully zoomed out. The second thing we want to look at is the lighting. Here we need to ensure that the photo is not overexposed, which means it's too bright, or underexposed, too dark.
Yep.
And the final thing we want to look at is the clarity. And we'll do this by ensuring that the photo is not blurry, by zooming into the highest maximum zoom level that we can find, and making sure that the photo is still clear at that level.
I'm so happy that our photos have passed the quality check. And you know, one of the conversations that we continuously have at Book Bank is the importance of preserving our memory as Kenyans and as Africans. It's critical now more than ever that we tell our own stories, and this means that we must not only preserve them, but also document them in very accessible ways. So we've learned how to take photos, we've taken them, something else happens. What's that?
So once we've finished digitizing, the next step would be to back up our photos and to make sure they're accessible in different platforms and in different places. Remember, we said that you can share them with family, you can put them on your email. So this is what we're going to be doing in the next step. We'll be backing up our photos. Now, what is a backup? Technically speaking, a backup is a copy of a file that is created in the event that the original file is lost or damaged. Now, backing up our photographs ensures that they're not tied to the physical device. So you don't want your photographs to only be limited to your phone or your laptop. Because what happens if your device is stolen, or for example, if your laptop crashes, this means that the photographs will be lost, you know, and we don't want that. Now, there are many ways to back up our photos or create copies of them. Some of these ways include saving or copying your photographs onto a computer or a hard drive. You can back up on a computer, a hard drive, the USB, etc. And if you're saving on a computer or a hard drive, you need to remember to give your files and folders names that are descriptive of the contents within the file. So you don't want to be looking at them in future and think, what is IMG 00506? That does not that does not relate to your context.
It doesn't.
But if the file is called, let's say, High School Photographs 1993 or Mom High School Photographs, you can be able to tell what's in the photograph without necessarily having to open it. Especially when you're dealing with large volumes of files, you need to be able to have file names and folder names that are relative to what is contained within them. Another way of backing up could be uploading the photos onto Instagram, Google Drive, Dropbox. But remember, these are platforms that are tied to the company. So this belongs to Twitter, it belongs to Instagram. But in essence, it's still a copy of the photograph that is online in a separate platform. Or you can even share it with someone else within your family or friend. You can WhatsApp them, you can email them. Again, you're creating a different copy which rests in a different place that's not tied to the device that you have.
Thank you, Chao, for this great information. And I hope that each and every one of our viewers today can digitize their personal archive at home confidently, because I know I can now.
Well, I'm really glad to hear. I think, remember that digitization is a skill we all can do, but we all should do also, because we each have records in our homes that mean something to us and that we'd like to preserve, and that we're living in an online world. So we access data online, and this is a very crucial thing to do for yourselves. Thank you for having me, and I wish you all the best. Those who are digitizing at home, good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you.